Hi, this is Tracy Eaton from Remarkable Franchises, and I have the great pleasure of being here with Simon Dennis, who is Head of Partnerships with MYOB. And as you probably know, MYOB is an FCA partner, and also MYOB is also a platinum sponsor of the upcoming WA State Franchise Conference. And we're very excited that Simon's going to be joining us there. So welcome to you, Simon. And now we were just having a bit of a chit chat beforehand. And I mean, you're coming across all the way from Brisbane to WA, and you've been here quite a few times before. And would you like to share, I guess, straight up with some of the reasons you like coming to WA?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, thanks for having me, Tracy. I'm very, very excited to be involved in this year's WA State Franchise Conference. And MYOB, as an organisation, we're very passionate about the Australian and New Zealand franchising sectors, because we're in both Australia and New Zealand. But we're very, very passionate about the work that we do in partnership with the FCA. And very excited to be coming over to WA. As you said, I often get over to Western Australia, and MYOB has a big presence in Western Australia. We've got a dedicated office in the city, so it's always good to get over and obviously work with our team over there, in particular the crew that have such a big investment in working with our franchise partners. So one of the things I do love about Western Australia is, and I mentioned this to you in passing in a previous conversation, I really find that West Australia as a whole, there's something about, and I don't know whether it's because it's the western seaboard and there's a big chasm kind of in the middle between the eastern seaboard, but there is very much that level of camaraderie that's shown as a state. And more importantly, I see it as almost a unity, whether it's just community or whether it's the business community. I've certainly felt that amongst the franchise community. I've seen a level of investment and a level of attendance to various different events, different workshops, different breakfasts that I haven't necessarily seen in a lot of the other states. And that's not saying that it doesn't happen, but certainly from my perspective, every time that I have been present and attending any of the events in WA, there is a real level of enthusiasm as to the reason why people are there. They're not just there to make up the numbers. They're there to add value. They're there to help with change, transformation. They're there to support the fellow franchisors and franchisees. And to me, that's just, I guess, encompassed through the general spirit of being a West Australian. So.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, and certainly there is that level of camaraderie and togetherness and unity, and people turn up. So and
yeah.
You're seeing familiar faces and things like that across the whole spectrum of the franchise sector, and it's really great. Now, as far as your role goes, now you've been with MYOB for over 6 years, and you oversee a variety of sales channels and things like that, including the franchise solutions team. And people often see you at conferences and, lots of different technology and accounting things, but obviously the franchise conferences as well around Australia. And, I know that you're really invested in the future of business and disruption through the advancement of technologies and how technology is being used by people, business owners and advisors alike, to change the way business is done. And I know that you're very passionate about the success of small business, and that when the franchise sector is healthy, it also flows on to be a strong economy for the country. So
absolutely,
yeah. And I know also you're a member of the FCA Victorian State Chapter.
I am, and also in some ways now a member of the Queensland State Chapter as well, which has been really exciting, because now I feel like I get to do some cool stuff over in Western Australia, unofficially, I suppose, but also get to do some official FCA State Chapter work in Victoria and Queensland. So I guess that goes to show that from a personal standpoint, I am absolutely bought in to everything that's it's maybe I need to be added to a couple more, I don't know, just to prove my worth. But I'm very passionate about the success of the franchise sector as an individual, as are my team, but more importantly as an organisation. You mentioned before, a healthy, thriving franchise sector in Australia means a healthy Australian economy. And I think, everyone in the franchise sector knows what the franchise industry brings to the economy. I don't think the broader economy really understands
Right.
the power that that carries. And so as an organisation in MYOB, we exist to help businesses succeed. That's what we do. At MYOB, we help businesses succeed. And we do that by developing intelligent and intuitive tools that help make business life easier. Because we understand that business isn't just business, it's personal. And that last statement that I just made then, when we're talking about small business owners, that is the essence of why we do what we do, because we're talking about mums, dads, we're talking about young entrepreneurs, we're talking about grandmothers, grandfathers, people who their whole livelihood is invested in a business. And generally, when you look at franchising, that is the makeup of people who buy franchises. And so, franchises or franchising is just a really big amalgamation of thousands and thousands of small businesses. And that's really the market that we're working to help support.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And look, with regards to sort of the disruptions, because obviously that's the theme of the conference too.
Yeah.
What disruptions have you seen in the last couple of years, and particularly any that might really impact or have an impact on WA?
Yeah, well, I think talking about it from a technology standpoint, technology is probably the biggest disruptor I'm seeing out there, and can be either the enabler or the crippler of businesses. So some examples of in franchising where we've seen disruption. It's not uncommon for many franchises, even some of the most well-known reputable brands in Australia, which you think would have their act together, actually have some of the most dysfunctional system makeups. And that can be that they've chosen to work with 10 or 11 different technology platforms that don't integrate with one another. They don't speak to one another. There's a hell of a lot of overheads in regards to the fixed costs that go with managing the continuous development of those platforms. If something breaks, it means that multiple things break. There's general downtime. If, let's say, one of those businesses goes in a different direction or ceases to operate, that's an element or an arm of their entire platform that goes under. So for me, it's an area that I'm very passionate about, is looking at how we can enable more businesses to succeed and grow and scale by leveraging platform. And not leaving themselves to be exposed. And if we're looking at, and that's obviously what I'm going to be speaking about from a disruptor point of view, because even as MYOB, most people do know who MYOB are. I don't protest to say everybody knows, but I think anyone in business would have heard of MYOB. We've been around for over 25 years. And from a disruption standpoint, if you look at our organization, when we began, we were an accounting software business. And to an extent, people still think that MYOB is an accounting software business. Well, guess what? We aren't. We were disrupted and have gone through disruption many times over in that 25 plus years, where we've had to diversify and change our business model. And we haven't been an accounting software business for about 6 or 7 years now. We are a digital business. We are a technology business, and that covers a whole range of technology solutions for micro, small, medium, and larger businesses, all the way up to big enterprise.
So Simon, with all of those things, and I'm hearing it's all about being able to be agile, so that you move, because things are getting faster and faster. The pace of change is exponential, and it's just increasing all the time.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
What sort of trends, I guess, are you seeing, or do you see coming, that people in franchising need to be aware of?
Yeah, absolutely. So we, a couple of years ago, we authored a report which everyone who is attending the conference will get a copy of a 92-page professionally packaged up MYOB radar report. And what that's doing is focusing on the 9 key megatrends that we actually see that are going to impact businesses in the future. And that's not a particular type of business, it's all businesses.
Yeah.
And so the 9 megatrends, just at a really high level, and I'll dive into some of these more deeply that I feel are very relevant to the now and to the immediate future for the franchise sector: artificial intelligence, blockchain, changing clients and changing relationships. And that's very relevant to millennial consumers and how franchise brands are relating to millennials versus the Gen Y or the Gen Xers. the Internet of Things, and that's really about connecting, billions of devices all in real time. The evolution of, or what we're calling privacy evolve, so the next layer of privacy and management of privacy, again, a very big thing for franchise owners. Embeddable technology, you wouldn't believe it, but in the next year or so, we should be seeing the first embeddable mobile phones, as big as a grain of rice, embedded into a human skull. Compliance, advisory, and automation, and that's leveraging platform to do that. On-demand and one-stop shops for service providers to help you grow and manage your business. And probably one of the biggest discussion points that the government are focused on at the moment with the black economy, the cashless society. Now, I think I've gone through 9 things. I guarantee everybody who's watching this is going to have at least 1 or 2 of those mega trends that they're already reviewing for their own business, or they've already had land in their lap that they've got to consider or think about. Well, guess what? The others are coming thick and fast, and we're really excited to talk about it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And actually, that's really dear to our hearts as well. In our business, and sort of dealing with that rate of change and all that sort of thing. And I remember when we first heard about like embeddable technology and things like that, probably about 6 years ago, and new phones are coming out and all that sort of stuff. And it was like, well, who here can imagine that in the not too distant future, you might talk into your wrist, it's not like your wrist watch phone, but actually it's in your wrist. And here we are, and the time's now. So yeah, we're really looking forward to hearing you talk on, from disrupted to disruptor. So you've given us the mega trends, which is already, a great reason why people should come along and come to the conference and have a great time, because, and hear you talk, obviously, because there's and receive that great report, because it's got information that is relevant to everyone and is already impacting everyone to a certain extent.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tracy, you asked me a question a little bit earlier that I've kind of danced around, but I was hoping to come back to it. And that is, what are some of the trends or the challenges or the disruptions that I've seen in the WA market? Well, I think the WA state has gone through a hell of a lot of disruption in itself. It was disrupted when the mining boom took off. I mean, it just completely changed the way that, people were moving to Western Australia. It changed the nature of property pricing, employment levels, and available access to jobs, and people moving out of corporate society into deciding to want to go and work in the mines and make money. And then there's been a huge disruption again, which is the mining bust. All of this growth, and now we're seeing the other end of the scale. And it doesn't matter who I talk to, whether it's service-based businesses, whether it's hospitality-based businesses, whether it's accountants and bookkeepers operating in Western Australia. There's been a lot of views that times have been quite tough. They've gone from being very, very fruitful to tough. And that means that even the most successful franchise brands who historically had a really large customer base are now having to look at new ways to engage with prospective customers, because they're not getting that same amount of return customer base. And, potentially they haven't been geared up to adapt to a completely younger generation of clientele. And maybe their brand isn't positioned to a different age demographic, or, whether it be male or female as well. So they've always, catered for a particular gender as well. So there's all of these things. And it's amazing that I often like to think that any problem can be solved using technology, or nearly every problem can be solved using technology. I think we're getting much closer to being able to say any problem can be solved. If you'd told me 5 years ago that a 3D digital printer could print heart tissue, I would have laughed at you. And yet here we are 12 months or 18 months ago, and they've done it, So it's amazing to think where we've come to. And I guess one of the things I'm looking forward to providing is just a little bit of a different line of thinking into how you should invest or review technology to tackle some of the challenges that may be faced in your business, and have an open mind to change. And the reason why I feel comfortable speaking about that is because, again, MYOB as an organisation, we're not immune to it. We've gone through a variety of different disruptions, and you'd see part of what's written in the title of the session is $1 billion lesson. Our CEO often stands up on stage and says, I lost our shareholders $1 billion. But it was $1 billion that we had to lose to get to where we needed to get to. And so that there, you know, we don't expect every business to have $1 billion to be able to lose. It doesn't matter. It's the same challenges, whether you're big, small, medium. Everyone has got those challenges in front of them, and it's what you do, how you react, how you plan, you know, how you look forward into the future, how you look to circumvent challenges and change that makes the difference. And hopefully a couple of lessons that we've learned as an organisation may help some of the attendees in the way they plan and strategize for their own business.
Fantastic. And you know what? It's really, really great. So lots of valuable information. And of course, if people can take away some of the lessons that MYOB has gone through and apply it at whatever level they are at, then, you know, people can actually use disruption to enable them rather than to actually, you know, grind a business down into the ground or lose everything and not be able to recover. So look, I really look forward to seeing you soon over in WA and having you enjoy our company, and we will enjoy your company. And also, you know, I've got a great new venue to go to as well with Optus Stadium. It's truly a stunning stadium. So yeah, we're really looking forward to being there as well. So
yeah, well, we actually had our partner conference there in February, Tracy, and I can tell you've picked an absolute winner. And I think if you haven't been up to Stadium, the members in WA, guests, everyone needs to come. It is going to be a fantastic experience.
Fantastic. Well, I look forward to seeing you then.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thanks for having me.